What got you there with What got you there with DeLaney? 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 What got you there with DeLaney?
Josh Bridges is a 4-time CrossFit Games veteran and former Navy SEAL. In 2011, he finished second overall at the CrossFit Games, while at the same time being a Navy SEAL. Josh is one of the hardest working, mentally tough individuals that you will come across. On this episode, Josh discusses his mindset, training, and recovery techniques and some of the most physically challenging things he's doing. This is an episode you don't want to miss.
If you're listening to this podcast, there's a good chance that your physical fitness is one of the most important aspects of your life. So why do you keep wearing those old workout shorts that are falling apart? Or even worse, when you're at the gym and something smells a little ripe? If that's the case, it's time to turn in those old shorts for a new pair of 10,000 shorts. 10,000 makes it super simple to purchase your new favorite workout apparel. My new favorite short is their distance short, which is super comfortable, lightweight, and perfect for all of my fitness goals. I can say without a doubt that 10,000 shorts are the most comfortable workout shorts I have ever worn. Like myself, 10,000 is obsessed with nailing the fit with the highest quality materials and construction. For the listeners of What Got You There, 10,000 is offering 20% off your first order of shorts. Yes, that's 20% off. This is just in time to purchase the perfect holiday gift for your loved one, or even treat yourself to a new wardrobe for the New Year's goals. 10,000 makes 3 types of shorts for every way you train. The interval short that's built for versatility and mobility, and perfect if you're into a bit of everything. It comes with an optional built-in liner that's the perfect compression without being too tight. It's made from super fine Italian fabrics, ooh, fancy. So it's not just functional, but more comfortable without losing any support, and you need that support. The foundation short that's built for durability and perfect for anything with barbells, strength training, or even a weekend adventure. The distance short, my personal favorite, it's a super lightweight short, breathable, and built for running. Also with a built-in liner, these shorts fade away while you run. When you check out, make sure you request their 1-in, 1-out kit. They do this super cool thing when you can send in your old gear you have for recycling and you'll get 10% off your next order. Head to www.10,000.cc/WGYT to receive 20% off your order. And if for some reason you don't love them, they have your back with free shipping, free exchanges, and free returns. Josh, welcome to What Got You There. How are you today?
Hey, man. Good. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. Excited.
Yeah, no, it's an honor to feature you. Thank you for your service. I've been a huge fan of yours from the CrossFit Games. Love watching you compete there. But I want to dive into, it's 10 a.m. right now on a Thursday. What's your day looked like so far?
So far, it's been pretty low key. Got up, got the kids ready for school. I did my ice bath every morning that I do. So that's 4 minutes of deep breathing in a cold tub that's about 35 degrees neck deep. It's like my morning meditation, helps with immune boost, helps with inflammation, and helps me get the day started right. All right. I get to walk outside and conquer a fear right off the bat and also get to clear my mind. So it's a win-win for everyone. So I'm enjoying it. I've been doing that for about 6-7 months every day. Went and dropped so after I got an ice tub, come inside, finish getting the boys ready for school, finish breakfast, make myself coffee for the road. Then we drive to school, drop them off. Then I come home and I started getting some emails, a little bit of work done, and I was going to try to sneak in a workout. Just kind of ran out of time before. So, going to just work out after this.
Are you like a quadruple espresso kind of guy?
No, I'm a black coffee guy. So I'm a big coffee nerd. Love coffee. I drink all kinds of coffee, like espresso. I don't normally add anything to my coffee. It's always black. I love single origin, just pour over coffees. So, I'm typically just 1 cup of coffee in the morning, but do my pour over my V60, grind my coffee, all that kind of good stuff.
You've only got 1 more bag of coffee you can ever drink. What is it?
Oh man, it's a geisha from the geishas. The geishas are seasonal. They're actually the season just happened, and man, it's just like a single origin. They're typically from like Panama. You can get them from a couple other spots as well. They're pretty pricey, pretty sought after. Man, they're just the most smooth, like delicious cup of coffee you'll ever have. Like I had to want this one a couple of years ago. Every year, they have a little bit of different taste to them, but man, it tasted like champagne. It was crazy. It had like a champagne taste. And I was like, I don't know what it was, but it was amazing.
I absolutely love my coffee, so I cannot wait to jump on the internet, check that out afterwards. You mentioned your ice baths and your deep breathing. We've had on a lot of performance coaches. They're big fans of the ice baths, guys like Brian McKenzie, the breath work. Any specific breath work routine you're doing?
Right now, I typically just do 10-second breaths. So it's 4 seconds in, a 1 or 2 second hold, and about 4 to 5 seconds out. And I try to do 20 deep breaths of that right in a row. That's my normal go-to. Sometimes I'll just do the 4 second out breaths, 4 second in, 4 second out. That's like a 8 to 10 breath routine typically. Right now, that's my go-to. I feel like I'm getting a lot out of that. I do a lot of research on breathing and just trying to try different techniques. And what I'm enjoying the most in the ice tub is the 20 deep breaths. It gets me to about 3.5 to 4 minutes in the cold tub. So it's like perfect. So like right when I hit my 20-second breath, I'm like, all right, time to get out. And I looked at my clock to see how long it was. And typically it's right around like 3:40 to 4 minutes exactly.
Cool. No, I've gotten some tremendous benefits playing around with my breath work. I'll have to implement some of that. Do you have any other non-negotiables throughout your day? It seems like the cold tub's something you've implemented every single day. Is there anything else?
Right now, the old make your bed right off the bat. Like you get out of bed and you make it. And it's not about making your bed. It's about like starting your day off right. Make your bed. You accomplished the first thing of the day. Now, what else are you going to go accomplish as well? It's something I've tried to, do for a while now since I've been in the military. The military kind of instills it in you because you have to. And then now it's just kind of become a routine, and, you kind of start to realize, it's the little things in life that add up, that count the most, that matter the most. So, as arbitrary as it seems, making your bed is just that first decision to do something right when you get out of bed, And then for me, again, going right into the cold tub immediately, like I literally get out of bed, make my bed, grab my towel and grab my phone just to use as a timer, and go straight to the cold tub. And it's just routine now. It's like, it almost helps me also puts me in the mindset of stop thinking and just do, because, it's like, I don't need to think about getting in that cold tub, because if I do, that's when the bad thoughts start to enter the brain, right? And start to make you like, nah, you don't want to do that. You don't want to go sit in 35-degree water, And so, walk outside. I have to do it in the exact same routine every time I walk outside. I open up my garage. The cold tub actually sits right in front of the garage. I open it up to unplug it, and just for safety reasons. Obviously, if anybody implements the chest freezer as your cold tub, always unplug it before you get in. So open up the garage, unplug it, walk to my little staircase that I have that walks into my chest freezer, and then, put my phone down, press start on my timer. And then it's like, there's no more thought process. It's like, you're just stepping in, you're going. So, yeah.
I absolutely love that mindset. Stop thinking and just do. I'm wondering, I've been interested in getting one of the tubs myself. How easy is that to maintain?
Oh, super easy. Super easy. Like I've been wanting a cold tub for so long, and I don't know how many times I almost pulled the trigger on the $6,000, PT cold tub, right? I mean, those things are insanely expensive, and all it is a tub with ice with a little motor in it. And then when I found, that's where I got the idea was, it was Matthew Vincent, the Highland Games champion, a couple times Highland Games champion. And he was telling me about Brian McKenzie's, setup. And so, yeah, that's where I actually got that setup from, was, watching his YouTube video. So it's super easy. I mean, you grab a chest freezer. They're not very heavy, and you put it wherever you want to put it, and you literally get a hose and you fill it up with water. And then for me, I get it down to temperature pretty quick. So I like to throw the ice in. When I first put the new water in, I put ice in just to get it down to temperature. Because if not, it takes a couple of days just by turning the freezer on, just it takes a while to get that much water down to temperature. But then you have a Bluetooth plug-in, and you can set it up on your phone how often you have to run the tub. And so I run that tub for about 2 hours every day. And if I go, and then I have a thermometer in the tub just to make sure I'm like sitting at the right where I want it, which is, mid 30s. And so if it gets too cold, or if it's not cold enough, then I can just adjust how long I'm having it run for. And then you basically have to change the water maybe every 2 weeks. You just want to make sure you rinse off. Like, you don't want to get into the tub dirty, because then if you do, it's going to dirty up the water a lot faster. So if you rinse off and make sure wearing clean pair of shorts when you're getting in, like, the water stays pretty clean for about 2 to 3 weeks, and then about 2 to 3 weeks it starts getting a little mucky in there, and you just gotta. Most of them have actually a plug that you can drain. So I'll actually just take a 5-gallon bucket though, and get it empties out a little faster if you just scoop it out with the 5-gallon bucket and then refill it.
I think I'm just going to have to pull the trigger and finally get one of these. You mentioned your time in the military, how that's helped you enforce different things. I'm curious about how you divide up your time, and coming from that military background, things are pretty structured. Do you continue to structure your day pretty methodically?
I try to. It's not as easy as it is in the military, right? Because it's given to you. And then so for me, it's hard being out. I have to really, make sure I stay focused, because you can easily get distracted with things. And I actually work out at my house. I don't go to a gym. So another thing is when you're in the gym, it's like, okay, don't think about the things that you could be doing at your house, like laundry, or, there's a little project that needs to be done on the house or whatever. Or you could just be sitting there doing emails or whatever. It's like, okay, when I'm in the gym, I'm in the gym, right? And when I'm with my kids, I'm with my kids. I put everything away and I try to focus on them. So that's been the way that I've found the most efficient with having children and a busy life, is just giving whatever it is that you're in all the attention that it deserves, right? So I can't be thinking about my kids when I'm in the gym, and I can't be thinking about what I should be doing in the gym when I'm with my kids, right? So whatever it is that I'm doing at the moment, like, this is their time, I'm giving them 100% focus. And I find that to be the most efficient way to really, give whatever it is you're doing the 100% attention at that time, right? Like, I try to stay away from my phone when I'm in the gym. I try to stay away from my phone when I'm on the kids. And then in the morning, after I drop my kids off, that's when I get my emails and phone calls out of the way. And then I go hit the gym, try to keep it away, come in, grab lunch, go pick them up from school. Once I pick them up from school, if I still have a little bit of work to done, because it's still pretty early, it's like 2:30 at that time. I can still, I'm like, okay, you guys get to kind of chill. It's, after school, you don't have to hit homework just right away. Let's relax for a few minutes, play video game. If you want to play a video game, the boys are into Fortnite like every other kid, so, give them a little bit of downtime, and then, okay, let's hit our homework, crush that out, knock that out. And then let's go out in the backyard, get outside, get away from, electronics and TV and whatever else. And we'll play, like right now we're into football. So the boys, we've just been playing football in the backyard a ton. So that's been awesome. And then, then it's time to come in and hit dinner and nighttime routine. So
when you're competing against them in a sport, do you ever let them win?
Never, never, because my window of opportunity to beat these kids is only a very short window, right? And so I've always promised myself, because I'm so competitive, is like, I'm not going to let these kids win until they can win. And they have slowly started to win at certain things. And I'm like, man, this is bad. And they're only 8 and 6. So my window of winning is closing very, very quickly.
Yeah, I have a 4-month-old at home, and I keep trying to explain to my wife that kid is never going to win until he's at least 18, or I'm just going to be so pissed off for the rest of the day. It's cool hearing you talk about your parenting style, your family. I want to rewind a bit, hear about the young Josh Bridges. how would your family describe you growing up?
Well, that's a good question. Yeah, man, you should talk to my mom. I'm not sure. I was a good kid. I wasn't, and for the most part, I was a good kid. I wasn't perfect. But I was good to my mom. I appreciated my mom and how hard my mom worked. That was actually one of the things that my mom instilled in me was she's where I got my mentality. Like sometimes you just got to get the job done, whatever it is. Whether it being, cause she was a single mom. She had me when she was 19. She had my older brother when she was 18. So she had 2 kids before she was 20 years old and, didn't even have a high school diploma. She, dropped out of high school her senior year because, I don't even know why, but she ended up getting, going to beauty school and getting becoming a hairstylist. And, but she we never suffered. We never went without food. We never went without clothes. We never went without anything because my mom worked her tail off to make sure that her kids had what they needed. And I recognized that at a pretty young age that mom's not we're not rich by any means. And to be honest, I'm glad we weren't rich. I'm glad that I was brought up the way I was brought up. Like we had 1 pair of shoes, and until they got holes in them, we didn't get another pair of shoes. You just appreciated it, and you start to appreciate the things that you have now because of the way you were brought up. And so watching my mom, just always make sure that whatever it was that we had, whatever it was that we needed, we had. And it's a huge thing for me now, like whatever I got to do to get the job done for whatever it is I'm doing. I'm always thankful for my mom, showing me that skill and giving me that trait.
It's unbelievable.
Oh, go ahead, sorry.
No, I was just going to say it's unbelievable the amount of high performers, many of whom have been on this show, who talk about strong women in their lives and the influence that had on them. Yeah,
it's huge. I think I didn't really have a dad growing up. My dad, I saw him every once in a while. Wasn't a great influence on me by any means. So yeah, but I had a phenomenal mother who, instilled some great qualities in me, and we're still best friends to this day.
So mom instilled that work ethic in you. You end up wrestling, and we've had a lot of different people on this podcast who have been wrestlers, and I love their mentality, the grinders. They're just going to outwork everyone. What were some of the biggest takeaways being a high school wrestler for you?
Yeah, that's obviously the number one trait is be the hardest worker in the room. First to show up, last to leave. Hardest work in the room, mouth shut, no complaining. That's the wrestler's mentality, and you're just going to grind. You're going to grind until someone has to peel you off the mat. And that was huge for me. I attribute my mentality a lot to the growing up wrestling, and I had a phenomenal high school coach. He pushed us, he screamed at us, he yelled at us, and I loved it. I loved it when he yelled at us. I really did. I could tell how much he cared by the color in his face was turning purple when he was screaming at us. And I was like, man, this guy, nobody who doesn't, if you don't care, you're not going to get yelled at. He's not going to show the kind of passion that he's showing right now if he didn't care about us as wrestlers and people. And so it was really cool. It was an awesome experience. And I always look back at my high school wrestling coach and, thank God that he was there. And, I ended up going to college, and I only wrestled in college for a year. I only went there for a year, kind of got a little bad attitude. I didn't like my college coach. He was just such a drastic change from my high school coach. So, but anyways, yeah, that wrestling mentality, man, it's huge. I love it. I love going out and pushing my body to its limits every day. I think that's why I'm so broken now, but it's all right. I wouldn't change it for anything.
We're going to get into how broken that is.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, is that a mentality you had prior to starting wrestling? Because I think you started wrestling in the 8th grade. Were you willing just to push your body to the limits even prior to that? Or was it when you got involved with this high school coach that you saw what you were capable of?
A little bit prior to, I was always just interested in fitness, I don't know. I remember one time and I was probably in 6th grade, and I just went outside and I just started running, and I ran until I don't even remember. It probably wasn't looking back on it. It probably wasn't that long, but in 6th grade, it was probably 5 miles. I just ran around my block, literally just was running and running and running until I was I just want to keep going to see if I can. And, and I did it, and I just kept going. And finally at like 5 miles, I was like, okay, I think I'm good now. And I just stopped. I remember my parents were like sitting on the porch. I think like having a drink and like watching me, like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm just going to go until I can't go anymore. And so, I think I had it a little bit inside of me. I had that like competitive age. I had an older brother growing up, and so everything we did was competitive. I mean, I loved competing from a very young age. Like I hated losing from a child, and I see it in my kids now, and it's like, it's crazy. You're like, wow, like you learn that you hate losing so quickly. Like my kids are 6 years old, and I'm like, my 6-year-old hates losing more than my 8-year-old, and it's crazy to see, to watch. So, but they both hate it.
I think the picture of who Josh Bridges is becoming a lot clearer for the listeners right now. In the research, getting ready for this podcast, I heard you talk about that you thought the most physically demanding thing you ever did was that first year of college wrestling, even more intense than the SEALs. Is that true?
Yeah, I just talked with Kalipa about this, and I've gone and done some speaking to some college wrestling teams. And I really do. I really believe that first year of college wrestling was the most physically demanding thing that I did. It was insane. And I'm not sure if I wasn't mentally prepared enough for it, or if it really was the most physically demanding thing I did. I know Buzz is physically demanding. Like, don't get me wrong. Like it is really, really hard. I think I was just really prepared for it. Like I mentally, physically prepared myself so high going into Buzz that I was ready for it. And it still hurt and it still was a struggle, but I was mentally prepared for it. That change from high school wrestling to college wrestling was so drastic that I was like, wow, this is a different level. And I don't think I was mentally ready for it. Like I was like, I'm not mentally prepared for this. I remember doing just our conditioning phase of one of our workouts where we watched 2 or 3 team sports we were doing stadium runs in the stadium at Lindenwood University. It's in St. Charles, Missouri. And it's not a huge stadium, but it's a big stadium, a big enough stadium to make to cause some pain doing stadium runs. And so we watched, while we just did stadium runs, we watched like the men's soccer team and then like the women's field hockey team come and go. And then I think another team was there and they're like halfway through their practice and we're still just doing stadium runs. And I'm like, this is crazy, and then we had to go in and we had to go drill wrestling after that. So it was, like I said, I don't think that I was mentally prepared for that, but yeah, looking back, man, that was physically so demanding and it was just another level. And so for me, it was really eye-opening that, like if I go and I want to tackle something like this, something where like it's not easy and not everyone can do it, like college wrestling, like that is not easy. I tell I coach my kids in wrestling, and we coach a team, and I'll sit down and tell them like, you guys need to be proud of yourselves for even stepping on the mat, right? Because wrestling is one of the toughest sports there is, hands down. I don't care what anyone says. Wrestling is the toughest sport, and if they haven't done it, they don't know, right? And for you 8-year-olds and 6-year-olds, and they're most of them are leaving crying because they got taken down. It's such an emotional sport. And I'm like, you guys need to be so proud of yourselves for even stepping on this mat, because most kids don't have the courage to do it. So it's a crazy sport. And I really think that it might be, one of the most physically demanding things I've ever done.
Yeah, I think the toughest people I've ever come across in life, most of them have a wrestling background. So it's very cool to hear that. I loved your story about the stadium. When you were getting ready for SEALs or during Bud's Hell Week, any grueling stories of just grotesque challenges they had you guys do that just the average listener couldn't comprehend?
Man, we did this one workout where it was actually, so I'll tell you what we did in Bud's and SQT, which is Bud's is basic underwater demolition SEAL training for anybody who doesn't know. And then SQT is SEAL qualification training. And those are your 2 phases before you actually become a Navy SEAL. And that's about a year long. And that is what most people hear about, right? Because it's the training, it's the actual test to become a SEAL. Well, once you get your trident and become a Navy SEAL, it doesn't get any easier. It only gets harder. And I remember we had this chief, and he was a tough dude, and he liked to grind. And he put us in, and we would do these Friday monster mashes. And so we get he actually put this one out like Monday morning on a piece of paper and wrote it down. I remember just looking at it being like, wow, that's going to be quite the day right there. And the workout was like, and you had to be with a buddy because everything you did in the teams was with a buddy, right? Your swim buddy. So no one ever, got injured. So you tried to pair up with someone who had like the same amount of physical strength as you did. So it started out with a mile swim. You got out of the ocean. You took off your wetsuit because the water's pretty cold here. And then you did a 3-mile soft sand run. And then once you got back from the soft sand run, you picked up your, it started with a 3-mile soft sand run into a mile ocean swim, into a 1.5 mile soft sand run, back to the obstacle course. You picked up your 35-pound rucksack. You did the obstacle course. You dropped. You carried your 35-pound ruck to the obstacle course. Dropped your ruck. Did the obstacle course. Picked up your ruck, your 35-pound ruck. You ran 3 more miles soft sand with a 35-pound ruck. Ran back, so it was a 1.5 mile there, 1.5 mile back to the obstacle course. Dropped the rucksack. Did the obstacle course. Picked up your ruck. Ran over to the to this area where we had rope climbs and pull-up bars and dip bars. And we did, you dropped your ruck and we did it was 100 pull-ups, 100 push-ups, 100 dips, and 20 rope climbs, and then 10 buddy berm carries up and over this berm. I was like, I want to say it took about 3 hours to do or something like that. And I remember just dropping on the ground afterwards and being like, I didn't want to move. I literally went home, ate lunch, and literally slept on the couch for the rest of the day. I was like, that was one of the most grueling things I'd ever done. It was brutal.
So he called that the Friday Monster Mash?
Yeah, that was our Friday Monster Mash that week. So this guy, man, that was brutal.
So he put that workout up on Monday. So you guys had to look at that all week?
Yeah. Yeah, so you had to sit there and look at it all week waiting for it. And you're going to do it. You're like, okay, our troop is doing this. And then he was inviting the whole command to it. But he's like, our troop was doing it. So I was like, all right, it's going to be a party. So you're trying to find a guy who's yeah, right, for sure. That was a good time.
So you mentioned from a young age, obsessed with fitness or even just into it. How did you transition into CrossFit specifically?
So CrossFit was something that a buddy of mine introduced me to back in 2005. I was actually, so I was done with college wrestling, and then I went into kind of the business world. I thought that was what I wanted to do, which was the worst idea I ever had. And telemarketer for 1.5 years. And then I went into, I was a loan officer on the mortgage, for the mortgage side. I was doing refinances and purchases, and a guy just happened to be there, and he's like, hey man. And we started, I don't know why we just hit it off. We started talking. He seemed like he was a pretty fit guy and liked to work out. And at that point I really wasn't working out, but I kind of was starting to get back into it. And so he's like, hey, I'm going to do this stuff called CrossFit. Would you like to give me, come join? He's like, here, check it out. I'm thinking about going to try to be a U.S. Navy SEAL, and this is some of the ways that these guys work out to get in shape. And I was like, okay, let me check it out real quick. And at that point, I had no idea what a Navy SEAL was. I was very landlocked in Missouri, St. Louis. I knew what Army Rangers were, and I knew what Marines were, and that was about it. So I started checking out the CrossFit, and I'm like, yeah, man, sure, I'll give it a shot. And dude, from there, I fell in love with it. I've never turned back. And in January 2005, it was pretty quick where I started doing multiple days, because it was the one workout was so much fun, but it was so short that I was like, I got to do more of this. I got to do more of this, and I got to do more of this. I mean, I was doing back in 2005, which nobody was doing more than one workout. I was doing 2 or 3 at least a day, minimum. And I was like, this is just so much fun, and just grinding and loving it. So, so that's how I found it. And then 1.5 years later was when I decided to try to be in Navy SEAL as well.
I mean, I just can't imagine you not working out at some point in your life. So like when you started doing CrossFit, did your body just absolutely transform?
Yeah, it was pretty immediate because I was a couple years into not working out, and I was slowly starting to get back into like just a bodybuilding style of working out because that was just what everyone knew back then. Unless you'd like gone into like a college sport, but even in college wrestling, we just try to do some like intense training, like in the weight room, but it was still, I wasn't really paying attention to it much. I was just more focused on wrestling. So yeah, I started to slowly get back with the bodybuilding, and then all of a sudden I found the CrossFit, and I was like, man, this is just awesome. So, but again, I was like not really working out that hard. So like the immediate effects of it, I was just like, I got addicted to, I got addicted to how I felt, how I was starting to look, I was starting to get abs and like, have muscle. So it was, it was an immediate addiction.
So a year and a half of being addicted to that, I'm assuming just dominating your CrossFit box and owning everyone in there. You end up wanting to be a SEAL. How did that even come to be?
Well, so that was a thing. It's like, so when in 2005, if you look back into the CrossFit world, like it wasn't even like a not like noticeable, like nobody knew about it in 2005, except for the few people that were doing it. And so there wasn't gyms in Missouri. There was gyms in like probably like 15 states, but Missouri was not one of them. So I had to go buy a barbell. I had to go buy, my own bumper plates, my own wall ball, my own rings. And I would literally just work out like in my mom's basement, or I'd work out at parks, and that was it. And I would post my times on the main website on CrossFit.com. So there were no gyms to dominate, but I was just
going to the pain cave on your own there.
Yeah. It was, and then I had my buddy Mike, who we would go to like Wash U's gym, and they had like an Olympic weightlifting area, and we would kind of like take it over and do our own little workouts in that part of the gym. So, but yeah, there were no CrossFit gyms. So, but he was the same one that was like the same guy that introduced me to CrossFit was the guy like, hey, this is how Navy SEALs are training. And he's like, I'm going to go try to do it. I'm like, okay, that's cool. And so I started doing CrossFit together, and it was really fun, and I enjoyed it. And I was like, and I'd always had a little bit of an inkling to want to like test myself in the military, just from watching movies, like Full Metal Jacket and things like that, and being like, thinking that boot camp was something really, really hard, which is mind-blowingly that I ever thought that, because looking back, boot camp is like insanely silly compared to like budge training. But wanting to be like, man, I wonder if I could get through boot camp, and things like that. And so once Mike started talking to me about that, I was like, oh man, this, maybe this is where I should go, because I was hating my life in the sales, and being a loan officer. So I decided to start doing my research on SEALs and seeing like what else I need to train other than just being fit. Started doing like land nav and rock climbing and things like that, because I didn't, and swimming just a ton, obviously. So yeah, and then I was like, man, I'm 20. I was 20. That was what, 2007. So I want to say I was like 22 when I went in, or 24. Yeah, 24, I think. And so I was like, now or never. So I was like, let's do it. And me and Mike actually signed up and went in together. And he didn't end up making it, but yeah, that was how I found myself to the military.
I mean, right now, if someone wants to join the SEALs, there's a ton of information, documentaries, shows, books they can consume to know what they're getting into. I'm assuming at that time There wasn't too much out there. I mean, what was your work? It
was a lot less, but there were still some. There's still the Bud documentary on Discovery Channel, which was it's called Class 234, and then you had some Dick Couch books. So that was my like research, into the buds. And so, yeah, nowadays there's a lot more out there for sure.
So, I mean, training nonstop in CrossFit, understanding some of the things the SEALs were doing, did you feel like you were pretty prepared going into buds?
I felt like I was very prepared physically. I was very, very prepared physically, and mentally I was ready. I was ready. I was like, this is what I want to do. I had no plan B. This is it. Like, I'm going in, I'm going to become a Navy SEAL, and that's it. And I feel like that's the attitude that you have to have going into that program. If you don't have that attitude, that's why the attrition rate is just, skyrocket, it's so high. So for me, it was just, this is it. And I felt like I was over prepared for it, doing CrossFit, running, swimming as much as I did, and reading up on everything that I could find that I could get my hands on, and like trying to talk to as many people as I could. So, it was hard to find all that stuff and put it together, but it was definitely worth all the time and effort.
Yeah, I mean, like you said earlier in this talk, you're someone who dives all in on something. I'm wondering, when you're going through some of these really crappy times during Buds, Hell Week, all of SQT, when something really gets tough, what was your self-talk like?
For me, I just had to like kind of step back and separate myself from it and just realize like what exactly it was I was doing. I'm sitting here running on a beach with a boat on my head, or I'm running on a beach with log in my, like doing lunges on a beach with, like the sun being down on my face. Yeah, it sucks really bad. But if I think about it, like it's actually pretty awesome. I had like beachfront property. I literally like my room that I slept on, I could open up the window and I could hear the waves crashing outside my window. I'm like, people pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for this stuff, and I'm like, and I'm getting paid to do it. And I literally just tried to put it into that perspective. Like, this is it, man. This is great. Like I'm working out. Like I would pay to have worked out to do this kind of stuff on a beach back in, when I was in St. Louis and it was 120 degrees out and humidity during the summer, and it was 30 degrees out during the winter, and and you're freezing. I'm like, it's 7 degrees. I'm in San Diego on a beach, carrying a boat on my head. Like, this is awesome. Like, how can I sit here and like feel sorry for myself for this? This is great, So I really tried to go there a lot when it really started to suck, and just know that this was what I really wanted, and that if it was easy, like everyone would do it. It's like anything in life, right? Like if it's easy, everyone can do it. And it's probably not worth your time if it is. So, I just wanted it more than anything that I'd ever wanted. And, I knew that nothing was going to stop me. No instructor, no test was going to stop me. So, and we had some really great mentors. And one of my favorite ones, one of his quotes was, no matter what it is that you're doing, the one thing that these instructors can't do is stop time. They can't stop time. And so whatever it is that you're doing, no matter how bad it hurts, no matter how bad it sucks, it's going to come to an end. And whether you're here or not is your decision, right? So you can either push through it and realize that it's going to come to an end and still be here on the back end of it, or you could quit midway. And then you have to live with that for the rest of your life.
That's such a powerful quote, and I feel like you can just apply that to so many avenues of life. I'm really interested of what else you took away from the SEALs. I got one of my good buddies, he's a SEAL, and he was talking about he just felt like once he got his trident, his brain could just function so much higher. So I don't know if you walked away from the SEALs with anything, whether it be physical, mentally, you were just at a different level than you were going into it.
I think that when you get your trident, you become a SEAL, you gain so much confidence, right? But you really, you haven't done anything that any other SEAL hasn't done. You really haven't done anything special. But you accomplish a goal that you set out to do, right? You got your trident. So the confidence then. And then once you have confidence, right, it's like everything just keeps rolling. And exactly, like you just start to become a professional soldier at that point, right? Now it's like, okay, they know that they can teach you whatever it is that you're there, you're willing to learn, you're willing to suffer, you're willing to go through whatever it is to go. And now you get to actually become start to work towards whatever it is that you want to be inside of a SEAL, inside of as having that trident on your chest. Right. And so, you just feel you have this confidence. And so that, that you can go out there and like whatever other task that they're going to throw at you, you're going to go after it with 100% and you're going to crush it. And so, that was one of the biggest takeaways for me is like no one's going to put something in front of me that I can't tackle. Right. Like I would just went through the hardest military training in the world and like, good, bring it on. Whatever else you got, throw it at me. Let's do this, and exactly. They threw everything at you. It only got harder from there on out. So.
Yeah. I mean, you just love doing hard things, wrestling, the SEALs, CrossFit. Is there something else on your radar currently? I'm always trying to think of really miserable things to do. Like
There's been some times where I've said some really stupid things to some buddies to do, and they're like, no, it's not. We're not doing that. I'm like, okay. I got a couple things on my list that I really want to do. I'd love to like bike from like Mexico, the border of Mexico, to like the border of Canada. I think that'd be pretty cool. Like actually on like a road bike. I'm kind of getting into biking right now just because my knees are messed up and running's not really an option, or running it would actually be really cool. Something crazy like that would be really fun. Or, in the CrossFit realm, we talked about taking every regional workout and performing it on the hour, like until it was done, until you're done with all of them. Regionals are done now, but there was 11 through 18 regionals. So, and everyone had 6 workouts, I believe. So that's,
you're sick.
So that's eight sets of 6 workouts that you'd have to perform on the hour until they were done. I was like, I was like trying to talk Rich into doing it. And we were like, maybe we should do it as a partner. And I'm like, no, individual, we have to. And he's like, nah, I don't know. And we almost did it. I'm like, I just wanted to do it, to figure out a charity to, raise awareness and like have people donate for us doing it or whatever. And like do it for that. But like, for me, I was just like, I just want to do it because it sounds awesome. It sounds like a crazy test for ourselves. That was another one. What my other buddy, Brian Montage, this guy's a freak. This is another guy you should have on your show. I don't know if you've ever heard of him or not, or his story. But his name's he goes by Tosh, and he just did this amazing test where they basically went into a Connex box and they removed all almost like a sensory deprivation. So there was no light, no clocks, no anything. And they had a true form runner inside the Connex box. And there was 3 of them, 3 Connex box and 3 different people. And they were going inside and they had 24 hours, but they had no idea of time frame or how far they've gone or how far anybody else has gone. And they were trying to see who could run the farthest distance on the true form in the 24 hours. And when he told me this, I was mind blown. I was like, man, that is what an awesome challenge, and to raise awareness for I think it was, they raised awareness for some sort of charity, about mental health for, veterans. And I was like, dude, that is one of the gnarliest things I'd ever heard of, because when you remove those things, like how far you've gone, how much time you have left, your mind can go to a dark, dark place. Right. So I was like, that is a cool challenge. So I've contemplated doing it next year with them as well. And doing something like that. I was like, that's really cool.
You definitely need to do that.
Yeah, right. I know. I was like, I got to get in on this. This sounds awesome.
Who the hell thought of that?
That's what I said. I'm like, man, that is one of the craziest things I'd ever heard. Put you in a Connex box that's blacked out and no sense of time, no sense of how far you've gone, no sense of how far the other guys have gone. And they shut the door, clock started, outside where you don't know. And then at 24 hours, they're going to open the Connex box. And it's up to you, how far you've gone. So it's really just a push to be I just have to keep going. I have to keep running because I have no idea how much the other person's running.
Man, you're right. You're going to a dark, dark place when you're doing that. How far did he end up going?
Yeah, right. He went 80 miles. They broke it down. He was moving 23 hours and 20 minutes of the 24 hours. He beat second place, I want to say, by close to 20 miles or 30 miles or something. It was gnarly. That dude, and so he's won the Navy Cross, which is the second highest award, just below the Medal of Honor. He was a Marine officer, just an awesome dude. So if you have a time to grab that guy and throw him on your podcast, that guy's got some phenomenal insight, and he's definitely worth talking to.
Yeah, I haven't heard of him, so I'm definitely gonna have to check him out after that story.
Not Brian Montage, Brian Shantosh. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I said his name wrong. But he goes by Tosh, but yeah, Shantosh.
Cool. I mean, so you're a Navy SEAL. How do you end up deciding that you're actually going to compete in the CrossFit Games while at the same time being a SEAL? One of them wasn't difficult enough?
right. Yeah.
I don't even know how that's possible.
Yeah. So on that aspect, it was kind of interesting. When I first heard about the CrossFit Games, the first CrossFit Games started in 2007. And that was the year I was deciding to enlist in the Navy. So I would have tried to participate in that 2007 CrossFit Games. I remember just being like, oh man, they're actually going to make an event out of this, which was one of the biggest draws for me to CrossFit. Excuse me. Was the fact that it was competitive, right? In nature, it was just competitive. Like it was as many rounds as possible, or do as many rounds as possible in a certain time frame, or do this for time, right? And so it was competitive by nature. And whenever you got to do it with friends, it was always fun, bragging rights. And then I'm reading in the articles because I'm following the CrossFit.com website, every single day, looking at it probably 10 times a day because I was just so addicted to it. And so I get the newsletter saying that, they're going to have a competition in Santa Cruz at this ranch, and it looked really awesome, but it just didn't work out time-wise for me. So in 2007 is when I enlisted, March of 2007, and the CrossFit Games were in July of that year, I believe, something around that time frame. I continue to kind of follow it. Obviously, I was still doing as much CrossFit as I could once I joined, but when you're going through basic training and then buds and FQT, you don't really have a lot of downtime to where you get to train on your own. They provide you with all of the necessary fitness for you while you're there. So I'm not doing a ton of CrossFit at that time. I wish I was like missing it though, pretty bad. And you got to do a little bit in like second and third phase, and then FQT you could do more of it as well. So I'm still following it all throughout those years, right? So the 08 games, the 09 games, the 10 games, and then 11 comes around, and I'm in my second platoon. Yeah, I'm in my second platoon. And so at that point, you have a little bit more. You're not a new guy, so you're not like eyes aren't on you all the time, and you're not required to do as much like crap work, I guess you could call it. So. So I go to my chief, and I had a good relationship with my chief, and I was like, hey, there's this thing called the CrossFit Games. I'm pretty, this is how I train. I train CrossFit a lot. He kind of knew a little bit about CrossFit, and it's not really in the schedule of the event that to get to games don't really conflict with much of our training. I only had to miss like 2 days. And so I asked him, I was like, do you think I could go? And he's like, well, he knew just enough to be like, hey, what's your Fran time? Like, that's what he knew about CrossFit. Everyone was Fran time. And I was like, well, my fastest is 2:02. And he looked at me and goes, okay, you can go. So after that, I really started to focus on it. And I was pretty excited that I was going to get to give it a shot. And the rest is history. So the stars kind of aligned in 2011 for me. And, I got to, get to compete in that year, and that's the year I took second. So it was an awesome year. It was a fun year. And I look back on that year, and it kind of blows me away that I actually did what I was able to do, because I would have to go out and we'd be training and, doing our training for work, and we'd be in the desert, 110 degrees doing IADs, which is like immediate action drills, which is like running to the desert, all kitted out, carrying 50 to 70 pounds of gear for hours. And then I would get done, and everyone else would go take a nap in between our sessions. And I would literally put down my gear, and I'd go into the gym, and I'd start working out. And it was just like, I look back and I'm like, I have no idea how I did that.
Yeah, it's so weird, to be honest with you. I got chills while you were saying that, thinking, here you are, one of the most elite soldiers on the planet, and you're finding the time to train for this. And then you finish second place. I mean, that's got to be one of the most impressive things in sports. So, I mean, that's just truly remarkable and unbelievable. I mean, did you have any expectation like that you might be on the podium and then finish second?
My expectation was to win, to be honest. Like, I was like, I'm gonna like, cause that's what and that was another question my chief asked me after with a friend. He was like, well, do you think you could win? I'm like, I wouldn't be asking you if I didn't think I could win, And so, I think I was just, it was I was naive. It was a good naive though. I didn't realize like that at the time that there was people out there who were just training. That was all they were doing, and I was like, that was just kind of something I did on the side while not being a SEAL, and not training for my work. And so, but I was like, man, I kind of followed it enough to know, what the guys were doing in certain workouts and certain exercises. Like, I'm like, okay, I think I'm competitive enough. And I'm like, I think I could win this. I think I could beat these guys. So it was a good naive, going in with that mindset and being like, yeah, I do this for fun. I do this for fun and on the side. And so cool. If I do well, great. If I don't, oh well, I'm going to go back and still be a Navy SEAL.
Yeah, I'm wondering how you manage expectations in the years going forward. So the 2018 games happened a few months ago. What's your mindset like going into that? And then when you don't finish first, second, third, what's the mind like the next day? What are you thinking about?
It's tough. You're constantly thinking about, like what you could have done better, what you could have done differently. What's the strategy for next year? How are you going to change how you prepared yourself for for your event, right? So this year, 2018 was a little different though. I went in pretty banged up. Like there was actually a lot of times where I was pretty set to go and withdraw from the games before the games even happened. After regionals, I couldn't run. I couldn't squat. My knee was like so swollen and so banged up. And I was like, I didn't know what happened. But yeah, so I went into the games this year with a completely different mindset, just being like, all right, you know what, you qualified, you earned your spot. Now it's time to, just go out here and appreciate, the moment. And so I didn't go in having the mentality of like, I'm not here to win. I'm here to, get to compete and participate kind of thing. And so had to shift that mindset. And that was a tough, pill to swallow, knowing that typically when I go there, I'm going there to compete for, to win. And that's what I wanted to do. So when this year happened and the injury happened and just not getting to train the way I wanted to train, it was hard. It was a hard pill to swallow, but I just had to adjust and be like, look, this is what it is. You can't change this. You can either drop out and withdraw, and not go test yourself, or you could, stop feeling sorry for yourself, go out in the gym, do whatever it is that you can do, and then go have some fun at the CrossFit Games. You don't know how many years of this you're going to get to compete in anyways. So, and then after the games, get fixed up, fix your body, whatever it needs to be fixed. So that was the mindset I took into the 2018 games this year. And to be honest, it was actually one of the things I'm most proud of this year was actually finishing the weekend, because I did not think that was going to happen. I was like, I'm going to go there, and if I can't do something that they asked me to do, I'm just going to withdraw. But I'm going to go. I'm going to actually take my time and go there and try to enjoy actually being at the CrossFit Games instead of just worrying about the competition and how well I'm doing. So, actually getting through the competition, doing pistols on a knee with pretty much no ligaments left in it, and doing box jumps and squatting 315. And even though that was like the minimum requirement, that was what I could do. I was like, this is all I can hit. So I'm going to do it. So, and actually even running, because running was a thing. I was like, every step on a run felt like shards of glass ripping through my knee. So yeah, it's actually one of the highlights of my career now that I actually finished that event this year.
Yeah, no, I asked the question to hear about that mindset. And that's the reason I wanted you on this podcast, how you're able to shift that mindset, tackle new challenges, embrace the suck. It's so cool to hear about. I know you're talking a lot about the knee. One thing I've been really impressed by is the longevity you've had, not only in this sport, but also crushing your body in the SEALs prior to that. I mean, what do you attribute that to, that longevity?
I think I just love what I do. I love going out and testing myself every day, whether it be in the gym, whether it being on a run, whether it being anything in life, really being a dad. I love it. And I think once you find something you love and you really, really enjoy doing, it's easy to, continue to do it forever. Like I would play it. Like I remember being a little bit younger and watching athletes hit their prime, and then they'd fall, they'd start to go past their prime and they continue to play their sport. You're like, man, why is that guy doing that? Why is he going out there even when he can't, he can't compete anymore like he used to? And then now here I am. And I'm like, oh, wow, now I'm past my prime. And, and I'm still, all I want to do is like get as many years of this as I can because I love it so much. And so you start to get it, right? You start to understand it. Like, when you see someone that falls in love with something so much, it's like, why would they give it up? Like this is all I ever wanted as a kid. I wanted to be a professional athlete. So for me, like, yeah, I'm past my prime. I'm not 26 anymore. I'm not 25 anymore, but I'm still going out there and I can still compete with these guys. I can still push myself. And, maybe I could pull some miraculous thing off and win the games one more year. Who knows? So you're never going to know until you try. And so I think that the fact that I just love going out there and and competing against myself every day. I actually love going out to the gym. It's not even, if the games weren't there, if the games weren't around, I would still go and train probably the same way that I'm training. It's not like I don't do it for the glory. I don't do it for the money. I don't do it for anything like that. I love it so much. I love pushing myself every single day. And that's not just in CrossFit. It's in every aspect of my life. Like, I want to be the best version of me at the end of the day, for everyone, for my kids, for myself, for my family. So, what am I going to do? Sit around and watch TV all day? I'm going to go train. So I think that has a huge reason why I've been able to last so long, is because of how much I love it.
Man, those final few minutes right there, absolute fire. I think that encompasses everything that Josh Bridges is all about. I could talk for hours with you about training, about the SEALs, all that. I know your time's valuable. You have a lot going on right now. You have some new things coming out. Where should the listeners check what you're doing?
Yeah, I'm really excited about some stuff that's coming out. I get to share a lot of, what I've learned throughout the years. Like right now, I offer my program I get questions almost every single day about how to train if you're going into the military, and what did I do? And so I offer a program that's basically, I write it every week. It's exactly the format that I followed. What I thought was the best way when I went to go into BUDS and FQT. So I offer that. That's at wadstar.com, or you can even follow it on my Instagram at BridgesJ3. That you can find the links there as well. And then in the new year, we're starting a YouTube channel. We're going to be talking about mental preparedness, how I work out, nutrition, supplements, sleeping, recovery, everything. So really excited to get that out and offer some programs as well on a new website, which is going to be joshbridges.com. Basically, everyone talks about mental toughness. I don't know if I ever call myself mentally tough. I would call myself mentally prepared for everything that I've gone after, right? And so, like, being a Navy SEAL, I was mentally prepared to handle whatever was thrown at me. And so that's what I want to help people, other people with as well. I think that we have a lot of mental health issues out there, and people struggle mentally with things. And so if I can give back just a little bit of some of the awesome, great mentors that I've had and give back to the community, that's a huge thing for me. And so I'm really pumped about that. Also going to be doing a podcast and losing my train of thought.
You got a lot of things going on, it sounds like.
Yeah. So just if you go to the Instagram, I'm going to be sending it all out at BridgesJ3, and that'll get you guys to all the cool stuff that's coming out in the new year.
Awesome. Well, we'll definitely have all that linked up in the show notes, but I can't thank you enough, Josh, for joining us on What Got You There.
No, man. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
If you're listening to this podcast, there's a good chance that your physical fitness is one of the most important aspects of your life. So why do you keep wearing those old workout shorts that are falling apart? Or even worse, when you're at the gym and something smells a little ripe? If that's the case, it's time to turn in those old shorts for a new pair of 10,000 shorts. 10,000 makes it super simple to purchase your new favorite workout apparel. My new favorite short is their distance short, which is super comfortable, lightweight, and perfect for all of my fitness goals. I can say without a doubt that 10,000 shorts are the most comfortable workout shorts I have ever worn. Like myself, 10,000 is obsessed with nailing the fit with the highest quality materials and construction. For the listeners of What Got You There, 10,000 is offering 20% off your first order of shorts. Yes, that's 20% off. This is just in time to purchase the perfect holiday gift for your loved one, or even treat yourself to a new wardrobe for the New Year's goals. When you check out, make sure you request their 1-in, 1-out kit. They do this super cool thing when you can send in your old gear you have for recycling and you'll get 10% off your next order. Head to www.10,000.cc/WGYT to receive 20% off your order. And if for some reason you don't love them, they have your back with free shipping, free exchanges, and free returns. A few months ago, my body was experiencing a ton of pain, and that's when my friend and former podcast guest, Noah Olson, turned me on to Pure Spectrum CBD. Their CBD products have been tremendous in relieving a lot of the pain in my body. Their products are pure because everything they make is tested every time for quality, consistency, and efficiency. They're 100% organic, third-party tested. There's a 100% guarantee, and they're THC free. If you want to receive 10% off the entire site, head to purespectrumcbd.com and enter code WGYT. That's 10% off the entire website at purespectrumcbd.com with code WGYT. For the What Got You There listeners who love to travel and want to see the world, listen up. We've teamed up with GlobeKick, who make it affordable to enjoy peak life experiences with like-minded people from around the world. GlobeKick expertly designs, curates, and scouts global adventures for you to join. Each trip lasts 1 week and is designed to balance their unique blend of adventure, culture immersion, and relaxation. GlobeKick has some epic adventures planned, such as cage diving with great white sharks in Cape Town, South Africa, dog sledding and northern light chasing in Norway, and to see the rest, head to globekick.com. If you want to travel the world with your kind of people and not break the bank, then make sure to stop at globekick.com and enter code WGYT to receive 10% off your membership.
What got you there with Sean DeLaney? What got you there with Sean DeLaney? What got you there with Sean DeLaney? What got you there with got you?
Thanks for listening to another episode of What Got You There. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave us a review on iTunes and also share with your friends. Thanks so much. Looking forward to talking with you next time. If you want to stay up to date on all things I'm working on behind the scenes and everything we've got going on at What Got You There, head over to whatgotyouthere.com. You'll also be able to see more on podcast guests and what they're doing. Thanks to Justin Great for providing us the intro and outro song. If you like his music and want to find out more about what he's working on, head over to justingreat.com.